Hey, take two. I made a 20-minute video and I always rewatch them once to make sure they're coherent, and it really wasn't coherent. One of the things I do these videos for is it helps me to see when I'm having cognition problems, when I'm having thought processes, when I'm derailing but not meaning to derail. And yeah, apparently I was having problems earlier. So I ate something, half a cup of coffee and a piece of cheese. And this is take two. What I'm doing today is making corn tortillas. We have some store-bought ones in the fridge, and cost-wise, store-bought ones are about the same price as homemade, maybe. The only reason that the cost is similar is you have to oil your press set every single time, and the cost of that oil, because people will compare the cost between the masa flour and the corn tortillas at the store, and it's like, yeah, that's almost the same, but I gotta oil this every single time I put a tortilla down or it's gonna stick. What did they do before plastic? They used a lot more oil. So, corn tortilla. Okay, you squish them in a comel, and then you fry them just enough that they don't stick together. So, let's do this. We have a good sized ball of dough. Okay, we put it on the comel, and yes, I will show you the comel in a second, but it's awkward. This is a comel, a tortilla press. Can you see it under there? Okay. This is technically a non-stick, which means that I shouldn't have to use the oil, but this stuff likes to stick. It really does. It's really awkward, it's really annoying, and it's a lot easier to use the plastic bags. And I'm using the outside of the plastic bags, which means they're fairly easy to wash with some soap. And this particular comel has a slight problem of pressing one side thicker than the other, which kind of annoys me. But you get this, which is completely and utterly stuck, but because it's plastic wrap, I can... Okay, I've made like 5 of these already without a single problem, but because the camera's on, because it's plastic wrap, I can do this, whereas if it was on the actual device, I couldn't do this. I got a chunk. Oh well. And I have a tortilla. And it goes into the hot pan. Hear that? Hear that? About 30 seconds. Turn, 30 seconds, turn. You turn it 3 or 4 times. And then you have to do this again. So included in the cost of your tortilla shells, you need to include a half a can of this shit. Or a misto. Or a half a cube of butter in a pot with a thing that you do this with, you know, baste with. You have to include the oil in the cost. And every price comparison I've seen on making them from scratch does not include the cost. Oh, don't break. I swear, it's just because I'm on... I've been making them for a while, and they were turning out. It's your fault. It's nerves. It's stress. Did I spray? I don't know if I sprayed. Then there's the mess factor of the top thing. The oil is just spreading down. You don't want these sitting around too long, so you kind of have to just dedicate the time to getting these made. And you can only put one in the pan at a time, and if I'd have thought about it, I'd have gotten the griddle out, because then I could do them all on the griddle. So that's something for in the future to think about. This definitely makes the... That was that way. Makes the one side bigger than the other. Okay, and flip. Yeah, you broke. I see that. You suck. Once you have them nice and dried out, then they're at the level that the grocery store ones are at. And then you can put them in the refrigerator and they'll keep for a week. And then you can come back and make street tacos or quesadillas or whatever it is you're looking for. I do not have enough space here, just for the record. This would be easier. Okay, one more time. So now you have this, and because it's plastic, it should peel right off. See? And you drop it into the skillet for 30 seconds on each side. Some recipes will call for putting butter or oil in your flour as you're kneading them up. And my thought has always been, there is so much oil going down, there's no reason to put oil into the mix when you're going to be oiling your surface. Okay? They'll get their oil, trust me. They'll be just fine on the oil. Yeah! I don't think that shows. They're glossy. It doesn't show how greasy my hands are. I don't want to use that one. That one will work. Am I good at making corn tortillas? No. Because I make them about every couple of months, 3 months, 4 months. It's been a while since I made them because we haven't had corn with the right flour in the house. An old grandma would make them 3 times a week, and it would just be streamlined and there'd be no thought involved and they'd turn out perfect. That's not me. That's just not me. Now, this is the little nips that came off, so they've got oil in them already. And I'm just gonna reball that. That's got oil in it already. Watch for those cracks, because those cracks will expand as you press. Put that down, put that down. Lift the handle, squish! Good enough, flip. And you just sit here doing them. There's a lot of things that don't get done anymore because they honestly require one member of your household to just stand in the kitchen all day long. And I don't think modern people really... There was a challenge years and years and years ago when the internet was young, when AOL was where you went instead of Facebook, to follow, I think it was Laura Ingalls Wilder's diary for a day. It was somebody's. And you just followed their diary, and it was like, got up and milked the cows, and, well, we don't have cows to milk, so there was this other activity you could do that took just as much time and you had to go outside. I think it was just take a walk around the street. Okay, that one just tore like a... Anyway. But then it got down to, and made biscuits. It was from after, whoever it was married and had 2 kids. And after milking the cows and pouring the cream off and setting the butter in a jar to be kneaded, to be made into butter, she made biscuits and did this and set the bread to rise and did that and did this and did that and did this, and she just went through her day. And her day was 90% the kitchen. She had an hour helping the kids with their studies, and an hour to knit or sew, and an hour to read the Bible, because that's what they did. And other than that, everything she did was in the kitchen, food orientated, prepping for the meals, making the bread, making the cookies, making. And we followed it for a week because why not? And yeah, the food was good and it was a lot better quality than convenience foods, but it's not worth it. It's really not. Corn tortillas from the store are better on your time, on your energy and investment. don't make corn tortillas from scratch unless you really want corn tortillas from scratch. Now, the difference between store-bought corn tortillas and homemade corn tortillas is store-bought corn tortillas use soda ash or lye. And they do that to make them keep, because the store-bought corn tortilla stack will keep for 6 months in your refrigerator without molding. And my homemade ones will keep about a week and a half before they start to have problems. They start to sweat and they're going to mold. So that's the biggest difference. I'm babbling. Okay, this one's a little mouth. Don't do that to me. So our garbage can's right beside the stove, and I just dropped the top bag into the garbage can, which means I'm going to need a new bag because that's not usable anymore. I hate using plastic. I got to come up with better. I need to have planned with the butter in advance. Come on. I actually think these get harder and harder to peel off because of the amount of oil. I think that's what I'm seeing, that as the oil gets more saturated, they get harder to peel off because they're sticking to the oil and not the bag. So we're not going to spray the next one and see how it does. Make sense? Makes sense. Well, I know I needed to spray the top one because the top one has no oil whatsoever. I also think I'm trying to get these too thin, and that's part of my problem here. That worked. So I turned it, I pressed it, and then I turned it, and then I pressed it again. And that seems to have worked really well. You really care about corn tortillas, don't you? So I saw on the news that Kilauea was erupting again. Yes. And that it didn't blow up and kill everybody, which has been a fear of mine, because that lake of water at the bottom of the volcano, if the lava came from directly under the lake, you would have had a pyroclastic flow, and everybody in the city of Volcano would have been dead. And that's been worrying me for 2 years, about a year and a half now. And I know it's been worrying other people, even if it doesn't get talked about. But the lava started up the side and poured down into the lake, and the lake evaporated off, which means everybody got to inhale some really nasty chemicals for a bit. And now the fog is back. And yeah, my throat has not recovered from the last bout with fog, so yeah, you can see it. That was cool. I do want to go back and visit. I really, really do. There's no way in hell we'll have the money to do that any time in the next 10 years. But it is on my list of things. Did I just turn that upside? I think I've turned that upside down a couple of times. That's funny. That one came out a lot easier without the second spray. So we're going to try a third one and see if the third one comes out easier without the second spray. And with rotating it once. So what we're going to do is press by hand. Okay, I used to make them this thick. The nice fat, you can't see that. The nice fat thick ones, and I like the nice fat thick ones, but a certain person in my life protested the nice fat thick ones one too many times, and I started making the thin ones. But you know what? The nice fat thick ones are a lot easier to make. So I'm going to go with the thick ones from here on out, because I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to go. I'll see you later.